Okay, so for today, we are going to look at something a little bit different, and that is this huge kit from Dragon Models, the German 8-ton half-track with the 88 millimeter flak gun. So this is a really interesting kit. Now, one of the reasons I like to do these open kit review videos, one, it's usually during a time where I'm not getting a chance to build anything. So still get to share something in the hobby, but also to get to show to you, if you are, as I always say, new to the hobby or new returning to the hobby, some of the different kinds of things out there that you may look at and really wonder, boy, what exactly is in that box? Well, never fear. I have plunked down my money so that you get to see what's in these boxes. So this kit caught my eye. I saw it at Willis Hobbies, one of my area hobby shops, and I will tell you, I am not terribly interested in building a half-track. I'm not terribly interested in building a mobile gun. However, this Smart Kit combo set with the two pieces together, this caught my eye because I thought, boy, that's really neat having the two of them together. Basically two kits, but one whole build. That I found very compelling, for one. Two, just from a point of economics, you can buy these kits separately. You will pay substantially more than you would getting the combo set. This kit is a little pricey. I think I paid about $115, $120, something like that. So it is an investment. However, for that investment, you are getting over 900 parts to assemble. Yes, the tracks do somewhat inflate that count, but even if you were to take the tracks out, I did a quick count. There are about 150 odd parts, I believe, involved in building the tracks. So you're still looking at, a 750 part experience here with this kit. Super detailed, really incredible. The molding is just exquisite on this. So that's why I figured for another open kit review, I would choose this guy. So to start with, what do you get inside this box? So just for curiosity's sake, to make it official, this is the Dragon, and forgive me, I do not remember the abbreviation in German for that, but it is there, 8-ton half-track with the 88 millimeter Flak 36-37 gun, which refers to, I believe, the years of the design. If you're interested in history a little bit, yes, that is the 88 millimeter gun that later found its way into the Tiger tank. The 88 was originally designed as an anti-aircraft gun, but the German military quickly learned that it was also a highly effective anti-tank weapon. So the question was, how do you mount this on an actual tank vehicle versus, let's say, a tank destroyer that really is meant to operate closer to the front? And the solution to that was the Tiger tank, and that is today's tangential conversation. So back on topic. So the inside the box, you basically get the bagging and the instructions for the two separate kits, for the half-track and for the 88. And I'm going to open up the bags in the next segment of this, and we'll go through everything in detail. But just to show you, for the half-track, we do get some braiding, some chains, some photo etch. Some of this is also for the 88, the cabling for the winches right there, and a nice little set of decals for various markings. For the half-track, we do get rubber tires, which are very nicely molded, as you can see from that tread pattern. Interestingly enough, for the 88, we get hard plastic molded tires, which will need to be painted. Now, if you are a typical car builder, you may wonder, really? Plastic tires? I don't get rubber tires. But if you are familiar with military models, you will know that in the enthusiast community of the military builders, let's say, they tend to prefer the plastic molded tires because they say the mold resolution is better than the soft vinyl / rubber mix thereof compound that they use for soft tire molding. But no big deal. A little spray paint, and you know what? You got a black tire. So there you go. Instructions. I'll take a look at the instructions a little bit, but just to give you an idea, so these are all the parts for the 88. These are all the parts for the Halftrack. And then we have track lengths. Fortunately, the tracks are not too long because it's not only one bag of little links to make tracks, but a second bag of parts to complete those tracks. Difference being, if you look here, you see those are the individual track lengths, and then right there you see 2 pin marks, and that is for the actual track pads, which are separate pieces and will have to be mounted in those spots. Those are the locators. So that looks to be all sorts of fun. But in the end, it should be well worth it to build this super detailed kit. All right, so I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to relocate to a little bit of a different filming spot I'm going to try so that you can see a little bit better the detailing on these parts. So, as always, I will say thank you for watching. Please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, the alert button, all that good YouTube stuff, as I always like to say. And I hope you enjoy this look into what I think is a pretty unique kit. So, all right, be right back. All right, so let's take a look at the instructions for the 88 first. And we see here we have a nice sprue map layout. There are some parts we will not be using, and here as well. There are some replicates of the sprues, as you see noted here. And when we open it up, we have what are somewhat complicated, but when you study them, relatively straightforward assembly diagrams. There are a few different options to build the gun, several different ways, depending what year. If you're really picky and exacting as to what you want to build, if you're looking to build an exact piece from an exact period of time, you know, it's all there for you. Go for it, drive yourself crazy. And then we go on through the steps. And in the end, we end up with our finished unit. Now, what's interesting with this, and I'm not sure how this will play out until actually building it, but it does appear that you can build it without having to fix the wheel carriages to the actual gun mount, because the gun mount, you see, it's the design intent was to trail it out to a location, remove the front and rear wheel assemblies, and then drop the support arms so that you have this X platform for the gun to be fired from. And it appears in the instructions, in this step in particular, you can see what looks like a provision that you don't necessarily have to glue those wheel mounts in place, so that you could take it apart and drop those legs, the fire support legs, and have the gun in firing position, which is pretty cool. As far as markings go, between the decals, and we have a simple paint guide here as to how to represent the gun based on where it would have been in deployment. We do not have a color painting diagram, which would have been nice. Trumpeter, Meng, Ryfield, those companies that I've built models from on the channel, they all came with a nice full color sheet of the painting, but this tells you the colors, and you know, you can extrapolate from there. So there we go. Let me fold these back up the right way. So let's set those aside. Now let's take a look at the plastic. So this is the first sprue we will look at. You get 4 of these because 2 of them also have the molding for the gun carriage, which we will see in a little bit. But I believe this is the one with the gun carriage on it. Let's see. Quite a few sprues here, so I am mistaken. No, but you do get a duplicate of these. And on here, we can see a lot of the pieces that will end up forming those wheel carriages, all really well molded. You can see there some of the detail on these parts. Some of them are rather delicate, as you can make out here, but really well molded, very nice. We have here now, these parts are not going to be used. These are the inner parts for some of the wheels. This looks like part of the compensator mechanism for the gun's recoil, but again, all nice stuff. Now, getting a little bit more into the structure of the gun. These are the bracing blades that form that X platform, the actual gun platform itself, the mounting post for the gun that it would rotate about, and still you can see really nice detailing on these parts. Very well done. Of course, backside, there's not a whole lot to see there. Now, this is a sprue that I thought I was looking at before. So you get 4 copies of these. 2 of them have the fender assemblies on them, which we'll look at in a moment. But again, you can see here, really exquisitely detailed. And this fender molding in particular, after I bought the kit and I first looked at it, really blew me away. I mean, look at that. All those mounting holes, the framing, the little intricacies in the molding, the detailing. Really nice. So well done. And now getting into the business part of this, we have the barrel. It is a 2-piece barrel. So, you know, it would have been easier if we had a 1-piece barrel. But we can see, oh, actually, see, I take it back. This is why it's important to look at your parts. The end of the barrel is a 1-piece slide mold. Wow, that's beautiful. And then the lower end of the barrel, the thicker part of the barrel, is a 2-piece. Going back to what I was saying before, yes, you know, some times you may see on these like enthusiast builds that the barrels are made out of aluminum, you know, turned aluminum, so there's no seam or anything. But with plastic, you can do it just fine. You just have to remember that when you put the halves together, you clamp them really well so that the seam is tight. And if you use like Tamiya extra thin, you can run it along the seam after it dries, and it will melt some of that plastic together. A little sanding or whittling, whatever is your choice, and you can fairly easily make that seam disappear. So it is not a big to-do. Now here, if we look at this, if you look at this piece, this is part of the gun carriage itself. All the little bolts and rivets and everything in there. Really nice. Here again, these are just injector remnants. So, oops, off camera here. On this piece as well, this is part of what will actually hold the main barrel. You have some of these little injector remnants, but otherwise, as you can see, some more slide molding. There's not a bit of flash here. Super clean molding. Always appreciate that. And then to give you a little bit more of the idea of the actual size of the piece, here is that big frontal armor plate with the business end sticking out, and it will build to a pretty substantial unit when it's done. So as I was saying before, there are about 900 parts in this kit between the gun and the Halftrack. Here's some more fine parts, delicate. Have to be careful cleaning these and cutting these out, but again, very well done. But as I was saying, of the 900 parts, if you take out the parts count for the tracks, the slight majority, I would say, of parts will go towards building the 88, because it is essentially an open construction where you get to see all the little mechanical elements, and so many of them reproduced really well in the build. So it may be, won't know until I do it. It may be a bit of a delicate build because of all those small parts. You know, bringing those together, certainly a job for tweezers. But if you're building something like this, you'll have had some experience with small parts. You'll have tweezers, and in conclusion, it should not be a problem. Okay, so let me put this away, and I'm going to grab the parts for the Halftrack, and we'll take a look at that. Okay. Okay, and we are back now with the Halftrack part of the build. And as well with this, we can see that there are some parts that will not be used. The side pieces, in favor of those side pieces. But again, a fairly dense, let's say, but rather straightforward build diagrams to walk you through. We do have a fully detailed engine, which is very nice because sometimes military vehicles, they are curbside in effect, sealed hood. You just have a little bit of an engine plate underneath to suggest the engine. But here we get the full engine, and we'll see on the parts in a moment, really nicely detailed. Here we start to assemble some of the suspension, the bogies, whatnot, and then moving through, attaching all the drive gear, moving into seats, building the body and the side structure, attaching all of that, and then into here, building, just a spare tire, that's why we have 3 tires, building up the front end, mounting the engine. So yes, see, we will have some nice underhood detail. I love that, being principally a car builder. Always like that. Attaching our tracks, and that's it. So less assembly than in building the gun. As I had said, the majority of parts in the kit do go towards building that artillery piece. And here again, we have a paint and marking guide, which suggesting different areas. Fortunately here, we see the Halftrack and the 88 with it, so that you can do them together, you know, spot on for your accuracy if you are compelled to sweat those details. Okay, so let's take a look at the pieces here. All right, we'll start off with the body plate and the frame. So I thought this was pretty neat because on a lot of 35th scale, the frames are multi-piece assembly, but this here we see comes as one unit, and looking at it, it looks true, no twist, no warp. So that is a nice piece. And again, looking at this, appreciating the quality of the molding in the kit. I mean, you take a look at that. There's detail everywhere you look on this, and how exactly they molded this, I got to tell you, it is a mystery to me. But wow, what a beautiful piece of kit engineering. You know, to have detail on the outside and the inside of the molding, that's pretty tricky. And also looking at it again, very clean. Really, this is, you know, part of the injection, but aside from moving that, you know, Do you see any flash? I don't. That's impressive. Okay, and now looking at the, I guess the floor plan, you could call this. Again, looks straight and true. This is the main unit that will sit on top for your seating. Engine at one end, equipment box at the rear end. Just looking at it right off, I can't tell you which is front or rear on this, but that's okay. I think this is the front. Whatever. Yeah, this is the front. The fenders go down further. But again, you can see really nice detail. There's even a little bit of a texture for what would be the floor, which is pretty cool. So very nice, very nice. And now we'll move along. Here are the sides of the Halftrack to give you a little bit more of an appreciation of the size. You know that the frame is basically the length of it, but here you get a little bit more of the sense of the height. So these are the sides. We have here, this is a back plate for equipment boxes and whatnot, but look at these super fine moldings for the various rails along the side, open molding on this plate here. That's all really good stuff. Now you get 2 copies of this sprue because this has all your running gear, and you can see again, look at it, all through molding on those wheels for the track. You know, super well detailed, all the little nuts in there. So leaf springs are always nice to look at for appreciating detail. So you can see the striations on the leaves. Backside looking good. You can have a little bit of equipment here. So very nice, very nice. And we get into a bit of a bigger sprue with more side pieces. Remember, these will not be used in the build, and that is noted in the instructions. But again, here we have another piece with all this complicated molding. I mean, that is something else. Look at that. You know, that could have been with older molding technology. That could have been like, you know, 10 different pieces to assemble that. And there it is as one, and it looks great. So that's really nice. Cushions with, and I hope this comes out on the video, but you can see there's some texture to what will be the fabric of the seat. So that's nice. And we have some more body panels and whatnot. We have another sizable sprue here. Another really intricately molded piece. All the holes in the frame member. This is basically the hitch unit that would attach underneath to tow the 88. Really well done. And then we have various mechanical elements. We have for our steering, you know, all these fine little levers and rods, exhaust, shovel, more delicate pieces. So yeah, you will have to be careful removing some of these things, but boy, oh boy, it should be well worth the effort. Look at this, how delicate that is. A thin ring with those slots in there. Really nice. Really nice. And then last but not least, we will look at this sprue. So we have our front fenders, some more seating, the hood. Look at the front grille. You can see it's not molded through, but really deep channels in there for what would have been the slats for the radiator. So, you know, a little black wash in there, that'll look perfect. Look at the mold detail on the engine block. I mean, that is really cool. You know, and here we have our fan. Now, this caught my eye because, you know, there are so many 124th, 125th models that you find for some strange reason, and maybe somebody out there can tell me why. Radiator fans, they never quite seem to get the angles even between the fan blades. There's always like distortions in it. I have never been able to figure out why that is, and I have never thought to actually research that and find out why. But in any event, looking at this one, you can see they are perfectly spaced. Really nice. The pitch is all even on the blades. Super cool. Check out this piece. A whole bunch of plumbing and whatnot for the engine. One delicate molding there. So really good stuff. Side plates for the hood with their cooling slats. The hood itself, as I said, engines. More seating, engine cover. So good stuff. Very good stuff. So there we go. Oh, and last but not least, there is just one little sprue of clear parts. And from what I saw in the instructions, it looks like they do give you a mask to cover that up so that you can paint the frame. So thumbs up on that one. 2 headlights, a little searchlight, and I guess those are 2 very small rear lights, which, red Sharpie, that'll take care of that, no problem. So there we go. All right, be back in a moment. All right, so there we go. That's what you could find in a big box, but a big build, let's say. So as I said, with it says it's over 900 parts, but after looking through the plastic, you really get to appreciate what you get, 1, for your money, but 2, for your parts count. Now, if you've watched some of my build videos, I've said, I don't know how many times, but when it comes to detail, there is no substitute for parts count. Yes, sometimes parts count can be overdone, let's say, where maybe by kit design, they decided to do something that could have been done with a couple of parts or done with 20 parts. I don't really see that in here. It looks like the parts count is requisite to the detail that you are looking to represent. So it's balanced. And looks to be a really intriguing build. Really interesting subject matter. As I said, very nice to have the 2 pieces together. Whereas, one or the other may not be something particularly of interest to build. Having the 2 together makes the difference. So there you go. So like I said, if you're building a few kits and, you have a few under your belt and, you're in your hobby store or looking over a hobby website and you start to see some of these let's call them upper level kits from companies like Dragon, Trumpeter, Mang, there's the whole slew of them that build or that make these kinds of kits. This is what you are in store for when you open up that box. So that's the review. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got a good view of the parts. And, keep in mind too, if you do venture into something like this, don't look at it as it doesn't mean you can't go back and build, a nice straightforward AMT or Revell, Monogram, whatever kit. I like to go back and forth between building complicated things that are certainly much more time intensive, that take longer to build, as opposed to switching gears and doing something simpler. You saw me do the Revell Easy Click Beetle, which I think was all of 30 something parts. And, I really enjoyed that build. It was fun. It was simple. And, it came out looking nice. At the same time, you saw me build the full interior Ryefield Panther, the full interior Mang British Mark V World War I tank. And, those were kits, parts count similar to this, one a little bit less, one a little bit more. But, there too, really enjoyed them. I was all on board for the complexity of the parts and the detail they represented. And that being the closing point, if I actually am making sense on this to have one as a closing point, that is the point. When you're looking to really want to build something with all little intricate detail and complexity, there is no substitute for kits like this. that parts count will really give you a feel of how the vehicle actually, or the equipment, whatever it is, even, if it's just, let's just say a bulldozer or something like that, of how these things function and mechanically how they work. And they are intriguing to build because you really feel like you're building a scale representation of something without having areas left to assumption of detail versus actual hard copy parts count representation of that detail. So that is all I will say about this because I've probably already talked too long. So I'm going to wrap this up, and hopefully the weather around me is getting cooler. In fact, today it's going to rain all day, so that means hobby table time, because when the weather is nice outside, I want to be outside. And also I have things to do outside, activities with my authors group and things like that. But, once the good weather starts to go away, it is definitely hide downstairs and have fun at the hobby table. So, going to get back to building, and I will see you with the next completed build. Or another one of these open kit reviews if I don't get my butt back to the table. Okay. So until then, thanks for watching and enjoy your hobby. Alrighty.